Is God on our side? Well, the reason I ask that question is I kind of want to get at probably one of the more important concepts to this week. It's called American exceptionalism. And so I asked the question, is God on our side? Really to kind of push your button just a little bit. I want you to begin to think about the assumptions we make when we make statements about being unique in our American mission. So, in looking at this concept of American exceptionalism, what does it really mean to be an American? It turns out that ancestors from both sides of my family, my father and my mom's side, came over on the same ship, the Mayflower. John Alden is my mom's ancestor, and Stephen Hopkins is my dad's ancestor. Their experience in America was completely different than the experiences of those who came over as African slaves. And their experiences, of course, are completely different than, say, Chinese immigrants who worked on our railroads in the 1800s. Today we have undocumented aliens that we are trying to decide what we should do with, and they have a different experience of what it means to be an American. And of course, there are the Native Americans, the ones who were here before any of the European or African or Chinese people came over. And their idea of what it means to be American is really quite different as well. There was an interesting video I saw recently, I think it was on Facebook, that had a Native American verbally assaulting people who were protesting illegal immigrants. And he specifically pointed at the American flag and said, "My ancestors' blood is on that flag." And that really caught my attention as to what it must mean for him to be an American. Okay, so what does it mean to be exceptional? And is it better or is it worse? Really, exceptional, for the most part, you could put to a curve, a statistical curve that in the middle of the curve is more or less what we would call the norm or the majority, and those that are on the outside would be exceptional. So from a very simplistic definition, without any values being added, it's just simply not being part of the norm. So are we not part of the norm? I think sometimes we think that we are the norm. So looking at America and its exceptionality, if you'd like to call it that, what about economically? Well, we do have the American dollar as the economic value of the economic exchange. It's the monetary form we use throughout the world, but certainly it's not the only one. And the Chinese would like to see the renminbi become the basic exchange. Militarily, well, we spend more than probably the top, I don't know, 10 or 15 nations combined in our military, yet I don't know about you, there are many nations around the world with whom I would not want to go to war. Demographically, we're probably more diverse than most nations around the world. That might make us exceptional. Historically, well, our history is much shorter than really most nations around the world. Well, certainly the ones in Europe and China and Japan and those. And politically, well, we are a representative democracy, but even within that, we don't directly elect our presidents. We have delegates to the Electoral College, and in a state where the winner takes all, that means only the winners are represented. So that takes us back to the question, is God on our side? Well, that's a tough one to answer because, as you see from our reading and from the introduction that was written to your course, there are a lot of different ideas about what God is, and really there are a lot of different ideas about what we do in America, and is it right or is it perhaps not so right? So with that, enjoy the week.